Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream of Shadowverse. Today is Wednesday, September 30th. So things happened as far as Shadowverse is concerned, and we're going to have to download 10 megabytes. That's not too bad. We can do that pretty instantaneously. The new sets are available. There's some way to get like 10 card packs. I'm not sure how. Let's see, because that popped up on my cell phone. Shadowverse Storm over rival release bonus play and get card tickets. Maybe card tickets? Nope, I imagine this is the card tickets they were talking about. Card pack bonuses. Which means I need to quit dropping the ball terribly and actually have the log in every day. My insomnia has been weird, so let's see what we've got here. We have in here from a promotion. I guess if we logged in at any point in the last 13 in the next 13 days, we would have gotten that. So that's 10 new packs. And then we have a new battle pass, which battle passes apparently are just a thing now, which I don't think they were before. So what's the price? How do you unlock it? So to buy this, you would need to spend crystals, the premium currency, either 1,000 or 2,000. I'm not willing to do that. Let's see what you would have gotten had you bought the battle pass. You would have gotten, this is very much like Magic the Gathering Arena, a bunch of perhaps exclusive card backs and avatars, but it doesn't seem like you get too much here. Otherwise you're getting card packs. What is this one, I wonder? And then there's a certain level of just getting up levels. I'm not sure how far I would have even gotten if I had bought a battle pass, frankly. This goes from September 28th all the way to December 28th, so it's to the end of the year. So they seem to be on the schedule of quarterly. And after level 80, it's just 30 gold pretty much every level. And then a level 100 maximum, unlike Magic the Gathering Arena. Well, I am skipping that almost certainly. Like, I couldn't, because you can't buy crystals at all. There's no non-money way to do this. So you would need to spend either $20.99, or maybe you could buy $11 plus $6 for $17, and then buy another $2 for $19 and save yourself like $1. $1 in that price to get crystals. Let's see, sleeves, items. Yeah, it's just Sears globes, and it's the same old leader sets. There's no new leaders, and sleeve wise I think there's the same old sleeves. There's a decent amount of stuff for available for purchase here, but yeah, the battle pass kind of changes my opinion of Shadowverse a little bit. I think because I kind of feel like they're a little bit more greedy. And we didn't get any of the pre-purchase bonus stuff, and that has now just converted over to Tradables. So let's get a general idea of what the Tradables are. It seems like it is about the same amount, maybe slightly less actually than Fortune's Hand, with Fortune's Hand's new cards included, but now the fortune's hand is gone. We have an issue there, too, because now that if we go back and open these and try to get this up to 400, we probably won't have higher odds of getting the newer cards. We'll just end up having to have basic draw rates on everything. Alright, well, let's start by opening all of these, and then we're going to have to think about where and how many more we want to buy, because it doesn't look like there's anything else to do with the money, which this game still is slightly generous in giving you money. I feel like some of these cards may not have been available in the pre-release also, and I don't think we'll probably have the best of opportunity to do a deck rebuild. We'll have to look at the daily quests. I did the solo missions and that got me, I imagine, either 10, maybe even 20 card packs. No, it would have had to have been 10 at most for doing these solo quests. But I do feel like these solo quests are going to come back and have more challenges later. Because there really was a very small number of actual battles in the story mode. And I guess the question comes down to, who are we more likely to get tradables from at a certain point? Because that got us up to 40. This is 116. I can open 80 more packs, so I could get up to 120, or I could open up like 50 packs here and try to bump this up. I think we have to get this to the tradables point. I think that's the only intelligent way to play this, to see what happens, particularly when we get to tradables. And it's clearly going to be a while before that expansion, the second to newest expansion, is out of rotation. Unlike Magic, it doesn't seem like they get rid of 3 or 4 sets at the same time. And Hearthstone also played that way, where it's much more reasonable to have one quarter, one expansion that is the 6th oldest expansion leave. Although I guess if you ran the numbers there, that's probably pretty much the same as, or a very similar situation. It's not really changing the equation as much as it might seem. But it does give you this nice opportunity to potentially mourn the loss of a really good card when it leaves, instead of just having entire sets leave in large groups. Depending on, but also I would say Shadowverse cards are like more quality cards, so you don't really end up having so much of a situation like that. And like Lucifer Fallen Angel, for instance, is he a different character than the other Lucifer cards we've seen? See, here we have Ladisha, or Latika, in a different outfit. But are the things these cards doing any different? Alright, well, let's evaluate here. Before we go forward, let's look at our cards. and liquefied extras, which gives me a massive amount of vials, which opens up the idea to potentially also falling forward and getting all the cards. So I think we've got 2 here. We don't have 2 here. 1 there. We have this entire panel. That's different. 1 there. So we're talking about 6, 7, 8 cards. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we're only missing like 13 cards. And none of them are temporary cards. 2. And I imagine, as far as my temporary gems, if I did just lose any temporary cards, like, let's see. Did we have any in this collection? No. Did we have any in these cards? No. Am I filtering out something here? Yeah. The oldest cards we have that are temporary cards are all Rebellion. Steel Rebellion cards. So those were temporary cards that were given to me like before I even would. They were out of rotation even at that point. So it does make an interesting argument around the idea of just not really using any of the temporary gems, or at least not using them at the moment. Right. If I went here and just said, show me all the normal cards, and up to 146 pages. I guess what I want to do here is type in Lucifer. Is that how you spell it? Lucifer? Alright. So we had this card. At the end of your turn, restore 4 defense. When it evolves at the end of your turn, deal 4 damage to your leader. And this is totally different. Okay. Let's see what Latika's cards did. Latika the Stoneclaw. Deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. Then if you have a fairy in your hand, deal 2 damage to all enemy followers. This is from Verdant Conflict, where why am I not seeing the other one? Can you not craft those cards? Latika oddly not showing up. Let me see if I capitalize it. Nope. So I'm confused, to say the least. We have here, get the card, get the leader, Latika, the... What are these cards though? Latika the Stoneclaw. Deal 2 damage, then if you have a fairy in your hand, deal 2 damage to all enemy followers. Yeah, this is the same card. So how many of these other cards that are tradables are new versus how many of these are old? How many cards in general are just reprints and reskins? So Seems like some of them are. Alright, well. Let's buy 10 packs here. And I think we could go even here, 40-40. Like, it might make a little bit more sense to go 50 with the older cards. Particularly since we know that a lot of these are just are gonna just be repetitive cards that we are gonna burn into vials, and the vials themselves are not gonna be that useful. I spent a lot of time working on my server while I'm talking about this a couple of days ago to get it to act as a repeater for a network time protocol server, and then I found out that like a banking app that has to work on my network apparently is doing some kind of traffic on that same port and was not being able to log in. That seems weird, but it also kind of makes sense. It's actually probably good security. The HTTPS certificates that allow you to go to websites only work if the date and time are fairly accurate. And there's really no reason why an Android app should double check the date and time there, but seems like they were, or arguably maybe they weren't, and they were just sending traffic through port 123, which is the port that you use for a network time protocol server. So after spending more time on it than I should have, that effort got flushed down the toilet, annoyingly. And then my end-to-end encryption bodge job had to be bodged some more because it was running into a log file that was just incredibly so large that the computer was running out of RAM to encrypt it. So I had to put in some code that I hope will work. I have to kind of work on it and then wait until the next day at midnight to see if the code works. But I hope the code will work to break it up into multiple emails. But that was a lot more work than you would have thought. A lot of just, I don't understand Python programming well enough, and it is a confusing minefield for somebody who is traditionally trained to use C++ program to try to figure out how to get Python code to work. Because it's so different and just simpler in a weird way. But yeah, I think I got that to work. Otherwise, for the accountability section, while we're opening up these packets, I have still been playing Lego Marvel Avengers. And I'm probably 2, maybe 3 more episodes through. I just need to run through all the remaining levels in free play mode and collect all the little collectibles in free play mode. Lego Marvel Avengers suffers a lot. There's a lot of just rushed design there, bad design there, platforming and puzzles that I just could not really appreciate. Running through Manhattan after playing Lego Marvel Superheroes was not really appreciated because I'd already done it once, and it was just kind of a bad roll of the dice, as it were, for the first Lego game that I could get back to and play. I think also Lego Marvel Avengers suffers terribly from trying to be built around the first Avengers movie and the second Avengers movie and nothing else, and then having a bunch of DLC character levels around like Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Black Panther, because like Captain Marvel and Black Panther stories were clearly before the movies actually came out, and so I don't think they're in line with what actually happened in the movies so much, and the characters and the voice acting aren't in line with the actors that played that. Not that them using only lines from the two Avengers movies, Avengers 1 and Age of Ultron, was a good system either, because that incredibly limited them both in the levels they could make and in the types of lines of dialogue they could have. Well, look at that. We are making decent progress here. And it does kind of feel like you will have about as many cards as you could, or as you would need. By the time you get to 400 packs. And I guess after that point, if you have all of everything, then you probably just dust it at that point and turn it into vials. And I assume the platinum cards are all animated, or there are no animated versions of those. If that's not the case, that would be really annoying to try and open another couple thousand packs to potentially have animated versions of the top tier cards. But I wouldn't put it past any collectible card game company. Apparently Magic the Gathering is selling some really expensive Walking Dead secret, whatever those were called, secret vault cards, the singles that they were basically selling online. I've pretty much completely unsubscribed from all the Magic the Gathering YouTube channels and any sources of information I was following there, so I'm not gonna really be up to date on any information. It's just happened to cross my eye. And while I won't try to make an extreme claim that Shadowverse is running circles around Magic the Gathering Arena, Shadowverse is at least maintaining a decent interface and a decent experience. Although I again will potentially argue that they may be going a little too greedy with the Battle Pass stuff. And I can't imagine that I would be willing to put any money into this. Although, I guess if I had Steam credit, if people wanted to give me Steam gift cards, then I could probably buy this stuff through the Steam store. And at that point, it would be a little bit better of an experience. Potentially, but not by much. Or it'd be a little bit of a different thing, because then I'd be playing with money people would earmark specifically for that reason. Then they would pretty much have to tell me too that that's what they wanted me to do, because frankly, if somebody sent me a $20 Steam gift card, I probably could find at least one good $20 game better than spending $20 on Shadowverse. And I assume Shadowverse is going to maintain itself as the main platform for playing Shadowverse, even though they have a Switch spin-off game that's coming out. I imagine that Switch spin-off game is not going to be something that gets expanded on, and it will just be a static product for people to play on the Switch, and in the same way that some of the Yu-Gi-Oh games were very much like that also. keep on opening things, and we probably need to do a little bit of news too, because frankly I don't know how much actual gameplay we're gonna play today. And honestly, if I really cared, I should have done this yesterday, because that's when this was fresh and new. I should have done a live stream if I was just looking for views. But yeah, it's just not worth it anymore in my mind to try and chase views, even if it would get me like 500 views potentially, because I've had some like day one launches on Hearthstone videos like that got me like 500 views, but it didn't really lead to a lot of subscribers. If anything, my subscriber count just kind of slowly goes up, which is nice compared to it slowly going down. But there's nothing I've ever done as far as the content I make that gets a bunch of people to subscribe all at once, which is probably a good thing, because people that would all subscribe at once would probably not be super happy with my content in the long run and wouldn't stay around. We've all seen examples of people getting led by the nose by some fortune and then changing totally how they did their business. The comic book gorilla fiasco is kind of a great example, where for some reason one comic book that had a gorilla on the front of it, I believe in DC, sold really, really well, and then they told everybody to put gorillas on their covers, to the point where they flooded the market with comic books that had gorillas on the covers, even if there was no actual gorilla in the story. And that was really silly, when they should have probably just stuck with what they were doing. Chasing fads is not my style, at least. I'm getting a lot of gold cards, and overall we're building up a decent collection of cards from the new set. We didn't have to potentially struggle to have cards. One hopes this new set is as good as any of the previous sets, and I don't see a real reason why it wouldn't be. And without reading any of these cards, I think they're mostly new, but this card, Bloodfall, for instance, I think it might be a reprint, so I'm not sure. And even if it is a reprint, it might be a reprint that is needed to just maintain. Alright, and we'll do 10 more. And then after this 10, I think we sit on the rest of our gold in case we need to do open sixes and we don't have enough money at some point to do open sixes. But speaking of open sixes, that does open up the next thought, certainly, as far as I've got to figure out what card really needs which card class really needs the most help as far as cards that are missing, and I need to have like a running order in my head as far as how that goes. And you really won't be able to do that as efficiently until you do deck rebuilds. I kind of feel like I've gotten every single thing available, So we might get bitten on the back end of this because they might introduce new cards in a week or so. I don't think so. It's not how it played before. You know, let's look about this. We have like 2 Lucifers. We have none of those. We have 1 of those. 1 each of those. 2 of those. None of those. None of those. 2 of those. And 1 of those. Yeah, that seems like that was a decent experience as far as opening cards. And so if we go over here and we liquefy extras, we still don't have any extra legendaries, but we have 13 golds, 189 bronzes, silvers, and 351 silvers. So that just maximizes the amount here. So if I go here, rotation and bronze, and let's see, click here, then there's 25 pages here to ask the question, am I missing anything in the bronze in rotation right now? I imagine the answer to that is no, but if we were to limit it down to non-animated versions, that'd probably be helpful too. Although frankly, is it even worth your effort to craft a bronze card because it may not matter? It seems like a lot of stuff, but it really isn't. And I think we probably are still at a level where at best I'm going for 1 of everything. I don't think I can actually have 3 of everything or start spending the effort to like take something like this, which I have 3 of these and 3 of these. There probably is something. Is this a basic card? No. So it would probably make a lot of sense to liquefy this and get a little bit of something from that, since I have 1 of these, but I probably wouldn't even bother to do that until I had 3 animated copies of something, and at that point it's probably not worth it either. Alright, so let's then search silver instead, and let's search normal instead, and in this set you could probably craft 3 copies of everything. I'll create 1 of those since we didn't have 1 of those. Like I just want 1 so that I can play with it. At least so I can read it. Was there something so we don't have here? No, no, and no. And then when we start going up the gold, this is where it's going to start getting crazy, because this would cost 800, which there's only so many of those we could have. I guess we'll do it. Of course, we also creating these in normal mode, which is cheaper, but you would only get 250 back at some future leader point if you were to try and dust it and turn it into vials. So there's diminishing returns in systems like this, that really there's no way to ever beat systems like this. It's just throw as much money at something at the problem and hope you can get all the cards you really want. And ideally, what I'd be able to do here is have one of every card, and then from that point be able to play the cards, figure out what cards I need, and realize that and hopefully have enough gems that or vials that I could still craft the cards that I need. And you're saying that is not really the case fairly quickly here, as we are quickly eliminating our vials. And then the hope here in doing all of this also is to open the door to playing rotation, which gets me out of playing unlimited, which was not really where I should have been playing in the first place. But I just didn't have enough cards first. Now we hopefully should have enough cards so that we can build at least a decent starter rotation deck for each class and play just rotation, and hopefully play against other people that aren't experts, and not just experts but veterans who have been playing this game for 4 years straight, because that's a real problem. Like, it's not just that you might run against somebody who's better than you. You might run against someone who's better than you that's been playing for so long that they have all the cards, and they're just gonna beat you no matter what in unlimited. Of course, with reprints, you're devaluing with every expansion unlimited a little bit, and revaluing cards that get reprinted, which is typically the way this goes. Thematically, most of these cards still seem like they are mostly around the same storyline, the main storyline, although we still see a lot of people like this that seem to not really connect to any storyline at all and just seem to be art for art's sake. So that's as far as we could get. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more things that are gold that I couldn't craft, and then for a laugh we can look at the legendary cards and see that there's quite a lot of legendary cards. And I think you can only have 2. So, yeah. Even if I did have 3,500 vials, I don't think you could craft a third one anyways. I think you can only have 2 in your deck, at least. And then Tradables. We still need to really make sure that works the way we think it works. Yeah, quite a lot of legendaries still to go. And the other thought, of course, is I could do this, and then I could go in unlimited instead of rotation, and we could, at a certain point, if we had vials, just decide to buy the art, because the art is the thing that seems to be temporary. Even if you do get a reprint on a card, it seems like those are not that you're gonna get new art, which is nice, certainly, but it also means that you might end up crafting one of everything, and if you do that, you would end up using a lot of vials. So that's all of our vials. Let's see what our mission is. 3 victories, 3 victories, 3 victories. And I could replace this for 40. Or I could try and get a Forest Craft and a Portal Craft victory. Let's see, main story won't have anything new. This won't have anything new. And we weren't done looking here, were we? Because the next question we were going to ask is, in like Forest Craft cards, in crafting mode, in rotation, how many Forest Craft cards are we missing? Really? Yeah, there's pretty much not going to be a great way to tell. That looks like there's probably 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, probably about 15 cards missing for Forest Craft. For Sword Craft, we're missing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. About 11 cards missing in Swordcraft. And Spellcraft, we're missing like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have a decent amount of Runecraft cards. Dragoncraft, we're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shadowcraft, we're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have actually a decent amount of Shadowcraft cards. A variety of Shadowcraft. Bloodcraft, we're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Missing a decent amount of Bloodcraft. I guess also that a good argument might be made that it doesn't matter how many cards I'm actually missing as far as just how badly am I playing with these decks, and that might have more to do with just the current state of the meta than anything else. Well, we can see that there's 8 here so far, 9, yeah, 9 Havencraft cards missing up at the top in particular. And then Portalcraft, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they're all fairly balanced. So it may have a lot more to do with the meta than anything else. There's no tournament going on right now. So if I was to do an open 6, and then do this, now we would spend 4 tickets to open 2 packs of Storms of Rival, and then a pack of Fortune's Hand, World Uprooted, Ultimate Coliseum, and a Phantom card pack. So let's do it. Now is the time to do it. I don't want Dragoncraft. I probably want Havencraft or Bloodcraft. So let's see what these cards are. This would be a high tier card if we want it. Odds are low. This would be a lower tier card. Alright, we'll do Bloodcraft. Let's do this. And this will open packs and give us more cards, even if they turn out not to be the best cards ever. This is strange that it's opening these cards first. What animation was that? Seems like they changed it. That's Storms Over Rivals animation in this case. Alright. So we'll open 2 of these packs. We didn't get anything great. And these are specifically Bloodcraft cards. This is the Fortune's Hand card. Didn't get anything great from that. Seems like we're getting a lot of the same cards over and over again, so here's hoping these are good cards we're getting. But yeah, I'm not getting any golds, I'm not getting any legendaries. And sure, you get all these legendaries, but that doesn't mean anything. Like, and all these legendaries are animated, so I guess you do get animated cards. Okay. Fingers crossed this works well. And hopefully that gave us some duplicates to fill in the gaps. Like, this was new, and this was new, which maybe means we didn't get too much more new. So we have 48 cards, and we need to figure out how this is going to work. 4 copies of this does 3 damage to any follower. If all damage in play, draw a card. Puts an Unselfish Grace in your hand. If Avarice is activated, puts an Unstable Desire in your hand instead. What is an Unselfish Grace? It's a amulet with a countdown of 5 at the end of your turn. It restores 1 defense to your leader. If you have more evolution points than your opponent, restore 2 defense. If you have 0 evolution points on your turns, you are unable to evolve. Then it summons a 4/4 copy of itself without Accelerate. That this Unselfish Grace does for 0. Insatiable Desire is a 1 play point Bloodcraft spell. Gives your leader the following effects. At the start of your turn, draw a card. At the start of your turn, lose 1 play point. Effects are not stacked well and last for the rest of the match. That's a pretty bad card effect. But by the looks of it, if you had this Unselfish Grace, you accelerate that for 0, then you play it for 3 points, then you will get a 4 play point 4/4 version of this, and this can't be targeted by effects. I don't know if that version of it does. Interesting. I don't know if that's worth playing or not. Crystallize. Let's try to move a little bit faster here. 4 copies of this, which would summon Serpents. Does 4 damage to all enemy followers. If Vengeance is active, does 4 to the enemy leader. Rushing. We could have 3 of those. Probably get rid of this. We could probably get rid of that. Let's see. Vengeance is not activated, deal 2 damage, otherwise 2 damage everyone. Start your opponent's turn, give Bane to randomly allied card character. Let's see. Get rid of that. We don't want to discard cards. We've got 5 more cards. A lot of cards dealing with wrath, a lot of cards dealing with avarice. Get rid of that. We may have to just get rid of some of the top tier cards here because I don't know. Get rid of like the Sentry Gate. That seems like that's an unnecessary card. So we got like 2 more cards that we should get rid of. This does 3 damage to enemy follower and draws cards. I feel like other things could get rid of. We could get rid of instead. Particularly if it is just going to do 3 damage to an enemy follower. Let's see. Do I want to get rid of this? Permafrost Behemoth is probably next. But this would do 5 damage or 10 damage. There's something here in the middle we should get rid of. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So now we can actually play some Shadowverse. Ideally, quick victories all the way down. People just concede and let us win, or network troubles just let us win. I am not beneath getting free victories in some kind of lucky way. And now that I'm at the point where I'm going to pay a little bit less attention, we can cover the video game news. According to Gamma Sutra here, Epic and Apple don't want Fortnite dispute settled by a jury. Which, I get it. Yeah, I totally could see the idea that they wouldn't want to have a jury bone up their $1 million or $1 billion case by misunderstanding the deep technicalities that they are almost certainly going to try to sell to the court. Which, at a certain point, it does make an interesting question about the disparities in the U.S. legal system and the fact that you can waive your right to a jury and then have a judge trial, and then you're getting a very different experience, or you can waive your right to any real legal protections and go to a arbitration, which that also shouldn't probably be allowed. There's a lot, frankly, that shouldn't be allowed. And there should be just some more consistency. See, what does this do? Just puts a puppet in your hand. I have no reason to do that at the moment. Frankly, I think a case like the Epic and Apple disputes and lawsuits probably would benefit society a little bit more if there was some common sense and just general opinions on involved. So having them trapped into following the decisions of normal people might benefit the world. Let's see. Yeah, because it really is the citizens at the end of the day that are mostly going to be suffering because of the Apple dispute. And frankly, I don't fully trust any random judge to act in the best interest of society over acting in the interest of one side or the other, or just acting in the interest of preserving legal precedent, or preserving their own like trial record. So yeah, that does mean there probably won't be a jury, which at a certain level nobody in the United States actually wants to sit and listen to what will probably be a year plus long court case, but nobody really wants to do jury duty. There's a major problem with the way that whole system is set up. But yeah, that's another part of the problem, certainly. Actually, I think there probably would be a lot of people who would love to be paid a reasonable living wage to be part of a jury and maintain their employment at their other job with no reprisals. But there's just a lot of ifs there. Like, because I imagine there are many bosses that will hold a grudge and find excuses to fire somebody who's doing jury duty, even though that's illegal. Yeah, you can say it's illegal all you want, doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Let's see. And this. And go ahead and evolve this. Moving on, we have a game on Steam here called Keysight Hero, which is tagged as a visual novel interrogation game. It doesn't look very well animated. It looks to me like it's a Chinese visual novel attempt with like colored pens drawings. It's free to play. It's Japanese only. I was wrong about the origin. I am very happy after giving it a second try with my ad blocker, by the way. I was able to get all of the sites that I mostly visit and show off as like cleaned up and distraction free as possible for these web peaks, which shows which means we will be seeing a very different experience now whenever we go to like Twitter posts or Steam posts, Steam stores listings, Gamasutra listings, TechRaptor listings, or Gamatsu listings. Well, I need a game changer here fairly quickly, or I'm gonna lose. TechRaptor has a listing here for the October Prime gaming lineup, which includes Layers of Fear, which I believe that's Bloober Team. I really didn't like that game. I feel like it's necessary to say that every time it gets mentioned because it gets talked about a decent amount of time. Oh. And hit, and hit, and in the turn. Also, a game called Silver Chains, Dead Age, Surf World Series, Jay and Silent Bob Marlboro, and Rocket Arena until October 10th. And then the loot is for League of Legends, Red Dead Online, Valorant, RuneScape, Last Day on Earth, Roblox, MLB, Tap, Epic 7, Big Farm Mobile Harvest, and Yahtzee with Buddies. Which, the loot that they've been giving away, in particular with Amazon Prime, has been pretty terrible. Prime Day is happening on the October 13th and 14th, and it might very well for most people be a great time to think about not renewing Amazon Prime. It's not a great offering, frankly. If you're watching the Prime, like if you're watching Prime Video, then maybe you've got an argument there. But if you aren't really enjoying anything from Prime Video, which really I think the only thing they've even had to offer this year is The Boys Season 2. It's really not been a great offering, and if you're like most people looking for ways to save a buck, I could see getting rid of Prime. Free shipping on Amazon. You probably will get that anyways in half the time, and sometimes you don't get free shipping on Prime shippings either. Amazon Basics lineup and Amazon as a store in general has kind of gotten worse, not better, in the last year too. And frankly, just now would be kind of a great time to get rid of it. I probably wouldn't do it for myself because I end up purchasing enough things, but I am heavily thinking about what am I really going to buy from this Prime Day if anything is on sale at all. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm probably going to spend more just I'm probably going to spend more money just buying Lego stuff instead. Let's see. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do this. And then do this. And do that, but still probably lose. Yeah. I'm thinking if there's like a Nintendo Switch on sale, maybe I'd get that. If there's some bookcases I need to get, so maybe I'd get a couple bookcases. Other than that, not a lot. Like, I would probably benefit from buying a new surround sound system, but I haven't used my old surround sound system in quite a while. Like, I'm just not in a setup where I'm listening to surround sound or watching movies. I have had the same Blu-ray next to my PlayStation 3, which has just been plugged in for probably 5 years now, and I haven't ever gotten around to putting it in a disc player and watching it. There's just things, certainly when I was young and stupid, buying AV equipment and electronics and things like that, that I kind of now just don't have that lifestyle. And it's probably not a case that I would be able to get back to that lifestyle anytime soon. Things have just changed, and you just have to go older and change. And a lot of the gadgets, a lot of things that could be on sale. Probably would get like a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus or 4 if that was on sale. Maybe even get one very specific Raspberry Pi case if it was on sale. But that's kind of it. I probably need another TV to use as a computer monitor. That's about it though. Like, as far as buying TVs, Roku just announced a new soundbar where it's a surround sound soundbar, beam reflecting soundbar, that also has Roku built into it. That looks like that probably would be a decent experience for a lot of people who don't want to run speaker wires and have a 7.1 setup. That being said, I don't know if there's much of an audience there that would want to spend $130 for a soundbar and a Roku, even though that price is not terrible. Let's see if both of these synergize with each other. I don't know if they do. It says, once each turn when it follows, attack or defense increases by effect of starting X to default later. Okay. So we'll see if that plays out. Yeah, there really aren't too many gadgets anymore, and you can kind of see why they have gone to the realm of charging such ridiculous amounts of money for Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, is because those devices replace Blu-ray players and they replace computers for a lot of people, and cell phones aren't really worth spending as much money on them as they once were. Let's see. Do we want to do that? Let's see. This. Probably should put this on the field, but whatever. Play this. What does this do? Nah. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Takarita Meets Fries, which looks like it's a cutesy, probably visual novel. It's probably trying to look good quality, but I suspect it's more of a troll joke game by the themes and the look on it. Although it is worth mentioning that this like flat chibi like characters, I would guess I'd call this chibi characters, is not an art style we see very often. $4.49, English, Japanese, Chinese, but once again I suspect a joke game. Okay, this. And this. And then this guy can evolve. And so I'm just gonna end the turn. TechRaptor has an article here. Pokemon Go to link Pokemon Home coming this new year, which, like, the Pokemon Home concept was such a confused concept, but basically it seems like you can take from this image, I'm just going to assume this image is accurate, you can take Pokemon from Pokemon Go, you can put them in Pokemon Home, but it's a one-way transfer. Right now you can also take Pokemon from Pokemon Home and you can transfer them to Shield and Sword, and the Shield and Sword DLC packs, and maybe these are even indications of the next 2 Pokemon games that come out. But you can also take those characters back to Pokemon Home. So I guess the thought maybe is that you could take a Pokemon from Pokemon Go, put it in Pokemon Home, and then take it to Pokemon Shield and Sword. I guess that's the idea. Destroy. Oh, I would have needed less defense for that to have worked. Right. This guy's got a bunch of amulets. Which my amulets also. And somehow they just killed my character. So yeah, it's real hard to care about Pokemon at the moment. Really hard. And I don't know if Pokemon Go fans would particularly want to put their Pokemon in Pokemon Home to never bring it back out to Pokemon Go. And then the expansion, and obviously was an announcement here from Pokemon from Game Freaks. Legendary Pokemons from the past games are coming back. We can see Mewtwo here, so I recognize that much. And this is part of the Crown Tundra release, so that they're kind of just working very hard to put back all the Pokemon that should have been there in the first place. It's almost certainly going to be too little too late. I couldn't imagine that not being the scenario, frankly, for Pokemon Shield and Sword. That being said, I also wouldn't be surprised if we ended up with a decent celebration of whatever the next Pokemon game is. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it just dies a slow death, and they probably should take a bit of a break from Pokemon until they could have done a good job, and that should have been the case for this release, but yeah, that didn't happen. Now we would need 3 victories, so if I lose here and then I lose in the next one, there's no way I'm going to get 3 victories, and thus I'm not keeping any of those Phantom cards, which is more than likely what's going to happen. And yeah, only a few things could save us here. Next we have a game on Steam called Red Sector, which is just a neon flying around top-down shooter. $4.99 English. Twitch supported tweeted out 14 hours ago, they're investigating issues with the checkout process when purchasing bits and subscriptions. Hang tight. 12 hours ago they said they resolved the issue. So Twitch still fairly inconsistent. Okay. Why is this one doing 2 damage to me every time he attacks? What effect is on there? I have no idea what effect is causing that to happen. But, might be able to get victory if I could get a straight hit with each of these characters. Yeah, I'm not really looking to go super long today. Right. And there is definitely something to be said about this. Should be like the time of hype, the time of celebration with this game, and it's my fandom is just not there. I'm just not hyped at all around this. Let's take this, that, and that, and then a turn. Right. I really should be playing a ton more Shadowverse and trying to get the single player stuff done and just focusing on that. But then again, I should also be uploading videos, and I'm not doing a great job at that, and scheduling videos, I'm not doing a great job at that. I have a bit of a buffer, but I have hard drives that are full at the moment. Also, I've not worked at all on my old computer to turn it into a server. Which I was intentionally waiting on that because I didn't want to start that process and then have my new computer somehow fall apart and die and need the backup. But that's probably not going to happen anyways. Alright, well, we can do this. We can evolve. But we've lost. Gamatsu has the Famitsu review scores for issue 1661. There's a game called Minera for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch that's 31 out of 40. A game called Nisha Genetic Survival game for Switch that's 28 out of 40. A game called Orange Blood for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, which is 27 out of 40. And a game called Witch Eye for Switch, which was 28 out of 40. So that is a pretty small listing. Take note that these would have all been games that would have come out somewhere around the Tokyo Game Show event too. So it's kind of no surprise that there aren't that many announcements, and that the announcements aren't that good. That being said, I think originally, by original release dates, there was supposed to be a major game that came out, and I don't know if it was Cyberpunk that's been delayed or something else. Like, I can't remember what the actual game was. But yeah, there definitely was something that should have been out by now. We are getting closer and closer towards the we're getting closer and closer to the point of when the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 should start to think about pre-orders and launching, and I think PlayStation 5 already has pre-orders, and I imagine the Series X is not too far behind. Like, we're at the end of September, there's only October, and then most of November, and then you're into Black Friday. see. Let's go ahead and kill this. Next we have a game on Steam called Cute Honey 2 with tag nudity and sexual content. It's worth pointing out what this actual game I think actually is, which is a liquid physics puzzle game that they've just put a bunch of anime girls into. It looks like total trash. Although it's rated very positively at $1.59, it supports full audio in Japanese and Chinese. And yeah, I guess people get the goods. The first game in the series is rated overwhelmingly positive, and it is one of these games that has blurred pornographic images as their screenshots. At least they're blurred. We've seen it be the other way too. Let's see. Let's do this. And that. Although I would say Cute Honey 1 looks like it's animated by a completely different company or completely different group, and the animation does look better too. Yeah. We haven't been paying a lot of attention to see how many adult games have been allowed on Steam lately, to see if there was actually some censorship going on. There, in the past short while, we haven't had anybody complain about being kicked off of Steam. So either people have stopped trying to sneak things onto Steam, or Steam has decided to be a little bit more free-handed on it. I mean, pretty much either one of those is possible. These games also came out on a Wednesday instead of a Friday, which that also bodes well for them doing things differently. Let's see, we have another game here on Steam called Seek Girl 6, which is a box pushing game in reality with anime girls and nudity and sexual content that they're selling for $1.63. Full audio Japanese. So yeah. Seems like adult games are back on the menu as far as Steam is concerned. This and this and that, and evolve here. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Ember Heart, and by the way, I can see the beginning of the end. There really wasn't that many games. This is a top-down looking game. Looks like it's a Diablo clone, although not very polished. $14.99 English only. We may end up having to do a wishlist cleanup, which frankly that would be very smart to finish doing the wishlist cleanups, which I started probably 2 or 3 months ago and then got distracted with other projects and other things to focus on. this, and then this, and then this. That one, and hit that one, and then return. Next we have a game on Steam called the Cursed Revenant, which just by the thumbnail you know it's a low effort game, which is kind of a shame because there is a concept here of a giant rock monster that you don't see that many giant rock monsters in video games, even fantasy games. Frankly, we don't see that many fantasy games that try to be Skyrim-esque 3D fantasy games. English and Arabic, which is an interesting combination of languages. Yeah, I just totally run out of steam. Just completely run out of steam with this deck, which this is why we need to build a better decks. Although on pick 6 it does seem to be fairly random. Next we have a troll game here called Mess Adventures, which is clearly a troll game, just joking. Joke game. Maybe not a troll game, maybe just a joke game. It's $2.69 discounted. Games have 4 audio for English, Chinese, Russian, Korean, and Japanese. And then next we have a game called the Sea Hotel Umineko Tai, which looks like it's probably a Chinese game for as much text as I'm saying. It's tagged as a CRPG, which I think means Chinese RPG. English is not supported regardless. It's $6.29, Japanese full audio, and Chinese subtitles. What does CRPG actually stand for? It must not be Chinese. It must be something else. ARPG means action RPG. We know that much. Yeah, I'd lose either way here. So I could do this and that's it. And character RPG wouldn't make any sense because it's like a character role-playing game doesn't mean anything. Cinematic RPG doesn't make any sense either. Next we have a game here on Steam called Live Empire, which is tagged nudity, and it looks to me like it's probably a low effort Chinese game. Definitely not going for the anime art style. English is not supported, it's $2.39. Chinese is the only language it does support. It's fairly explicit also on what it's hinting at in the video. Yeah. There, in all fairness, is room there for a non-moe, non-anime style adult content on Steam. It would help a little bit with the constant efforts of pro censorship SJWs to other all adult content in video game form. It would help fight against that if you could say, well, no, actually there is a large amount of adult content that's either live action or that is not animated in a moe art style or an anime art style really at all. Nutaku has a decent amount of that, but almost everything in Nutaku I think is animated, but almost none of it is really in what I would call an anime art style. But yeah, so there probably should be more of that, and at a certain level there probably should be more like high quality 3D developments too. That just won't probably ever happen. Right. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Successor of the Key. It might very well be a factor that I haven't been looking at my Twitter feeds very often, and that's why I have less news to talk about, but I really do think it's probably just fairly slow at the moment. A game called SOK or SOK. I don't know how you pronounce that other than SOK, like S-O-C-K, or SOK as an S-U-C-K. By the looks of it, it is a bullet hell shooter that's not even that good of a looking bullet hell shooter when you look at just how large those bullets are. It looks kind of like it is one of those Flying Witch style games, but it probably isn't actually that kind of game. It's just trying to look something like that. And here you have some lewd screenshots, but then the entire game itself does not sell itself as having any adult content. It's $8.49 and it supports English and Chinese, so nothing amazingly impressive there. Yeah, it might be that I'm not following the news that very often, that much, and that's fine. Like, we may very well go into the fall and just have a scenario where where there's just not gonna be a lot of stuff that happens. Yeah, this year could just be a wash, frankly, as far as any new things to talk about as far as video games. Gematsu has an article here. Qbyte, spelled Q-U-B-Y-T-E. I haven't seen a company by that name that I recall. Announces 13 titles coming to the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Let's see if we can get an idea of what these are. Crownstones Mariah, Flatland Volume 2, Hoarding Simulator, HTR Plus, Knight's Retreat, John the Zombie, Red Robin, Rift Adventure, Savage Halloween, Spooky Chase, Super High League, Tinker Racers, War Dogs Red's Return. Okay. We select this, do this, and do this. Is there any way to give this an increased effect? So yeah, that's like 12 games, but none of which I've recognized. And they seem to be all just getting published because they're made by other people. HTR High Tech Racing is Qbyte Interactive, but every other game on this list is from some other independent developer that I've never heard of. So it's real hard to get hyped, even if you see a big number like 12, when you find out that those are the 12 games, or the 12 games are unrecognizable. Project Colonies Mars 2021-20 confirmed for Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Which this looks decent enough visually, but I don't know if there's really a game here. This definitely feels like that game Shadow Complex, which I wouldn't mind a game like Shadow Complex, a Metroidvania style game. Okay, so we can do this. And this and this. We can evolve this. Kill that. And kill that. Still don't think I'm gonna save the day with that. See. Gamma Sutra still takes forever to load. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Get a job, join Airship Syndicate as a senior VFX artist. This is in Austin, Texas. And I lost some of my ad blocking there, but I'll work on that later. I'm not gonna get distracted because I've been getting distracted on that in the past couple streams. I've also been sleeping really weird times, so like I've been waking up, going to sleep, waking up, going to sleep quite a lot. Okay, save the day. And then do this. And evolve this. Apparently this one's already evolved. Could win here. Gematsu has an article. Breakers Collection launches 2021 for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Have we been seeing a lot of listings for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC? I think we have. So we're seeing like the last gaps of the current generation, I think, trying to announce things at Tokyo Game Show, which this probably is an indication that none of the medium to small Japanese companies were informed of the release date or even hinted to what the release date would have been for the PlayStation 5. Breakers Collection is the 1996 2D fighter game Breakers and the 1998 sequel Breakers Revenge, with additional content including an online mode. Which, okay, that seems like a reasonable offering. So we could play this, or we could wait till Knight's turn and play this. Rush, deal 3 damage, and draw a card. I want to do this first. What would Insatiable Desire do again? Apparently not. Yeah, Insatiable Desire, I don't think is what I want to play. I want to play this normally. Oh, wait a minute. This might be great. Is he gonna attack with this or not? Moving on, we have a 2D open world RPG called Ninth Dawn the Third Shadow of Earthil, launching for the October 6th for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, iOS, and Android. Again, either Gematsu has decided to not announce games for the listings for consoles that aren't out yet, which would make no sense, or we have a lot of games here that were all announced pretty much at the they were announced at the I don't know if that's gonna save the day. Oh man, I should have attacked that. We need to bring back the voices here. I turned off the voices. I didn't like the voices, but I didn't like the voices when people were spamming. But it needs to be on. Yeah, we're not doing a lot today. It's so weird for a new expansion to have come out yesterday and my stream just turns into, yeah, we're just kind of doing the thing that we're doing. We're just going to cover the news, and there wasn't that much news. So it is just going to be what it is, I guess. And it feels like it should have been something more. So yeah, let's go over here. Shadowverse. Oh, my resolution's not at the right resolution either. We'll have to click that and hope that doesn't mess up anything. Next we have a game on Steam called Beam. Wish I would stop saying in between each of these. Frankly, if I ever did have an editor, I'd probably drive them crazy. They'd have to cut out every time I said I'd say I'd like them to cut out every time I say frankly, which is far too often. I just have far too many verbal tics. Far too many might not also be a verbal tic. Like, of course, there's my category there that I'm my own worst enemy, but or I'm my own worst critic. But yeah, I hear it. Regardless, this game, Beam, looks like a ball puzzle physics game where you're rolling on laser beams. It looks like there might be something here interesting. It's $16.99. It's English and German. We gotta put it on the fall list, and so that would pretty much be the only game today that has even made it to the fall list. Okay. I feel like if I'm gonna turn on the speech, it needs to probably be that loud anyways, because it's more annoying to have it quietly talk than it is to have it loudly talk. WWE 2K Maker is Take-Two is heading to a trial after copying a tattoo artist's work, which is funny because I thought this judgment had already come down. Basically, the tattoo artist is claiming copyright infringement because the tattoos that literally are on the person are his copyright. Last I had heard, that didn't fly. That they clearly, I think the judgment basically boiled down to the judge saying, look, you knew that this was going to be on a person, and thus on that person every time a photo was taken of them, and you pretty much gave up any copyright to it once you put it on, tattooed it on someone's flesh, which does open up the door to the idea that no art that you would create and put on a tattoo could be copyrighted, and frankly I think that's probably right. This is one of those instances where copyright should almost certainly be a category, and like, I know getting a tattoo is not an expensive thing per se, normally speaking at least. It can be fairly expensive. If you're gonna get like a full sleeve, I could see you spending $400 to $1,000 on it. But yeah, I think at that point that's as much money as you can ever expect from someone. And since it is a artisan work of the act of tattooing something on someone, I wouldn't really expect that, even if you had this very specific rare case where a tattoo artist made a tattoo and then another artist saw that tattoo and copied it, I think at that point even this should just be thrown out of copyright court. I think this is the kind of stuff that just can't be copyrighted at all. Yeah. And in the same way, if for all the people that have like Mickey Mouses, like Disney probably could go after people like that, and it's just kind of ridiculous and it's just pointless. I think at this point, yeah, there's no way you can maintain copyrights on tattoos. And it's surprising that this is going to court because it had already been, I thought, settled, but I guess maybe they maybe this was a different This was a implied license and fair use doctrine case, but apparently it's still going to court, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
I love the chaos.
This is gonna be crazy if I win against this character, because didn't she have second birthday cup champion, which maybe indicates she hasn't played in a long time, this character. That might be the case. Game of Switcher has an article here. Starting in November, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate will be included in EA Play. Will include EA Play, but I don't think this is EA Play Premium. Let's see. Which pretty much means that it's just old EA games, which there is a certain level to also argue that there is not a lot of really good there really isn't a lot of good EA products out these days.
You crusty horseshoe. Apologies. Hands up. You crusty horseshoe. Hands up.
Let's do
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah. If I hadn't just built a computer, if I was going somewhere else, the other direction, I would get an Xbox Series X at this point. I don't think I've been particularly secretive about how I've seen things unfold, in my opinion there. And yeah, I would get probably the prepaid one. I think that would work fairly well. Okay, this.
Bow down, loser! Will
Here.
it be crimson red?
And here. And I've lost. Yep. There was a story that came out just before we started streaming. CD Projekt Red promised no crunch for Cyberpunk. They've sent an internal memo saying we need everybody to crunch until the release of Cyberpunk. Who really believed there wouldn't be crunch? Like, CD Projekt Red's management has notoriously been as bad as pretty much, well, at this point, saying as bad as other video game management is actually pretty damning statement. CD Projekt Red has been pretty bad about as a management company, and so yeah, this crunch is gonna happen, whatever. It's more of an argument for unionization, and in the European country that that CD Projekt Red is settled in, I think they probably could unionize. They probably should have started that process right after Witcher 3 was out, or right before Witcher 3 was released. Maybe they should do it right now before Cyberpunk is released. I don't think that really is going to affect too many people's opinions, or purchasing decisions, at least. So we got some cards, but not a lot there. But that did let me get some vials back up. Not particularly a great turn of events so far. All of the cards, decks that I've built cannot be used now in rotation, and these default decks have been secretly tweaked too. So I was starting to see quite a lot of new cards in them when I was playing the single player content, and we're down to D0 in rotation, which I don't know if that's just where I was last time I played rotation or what. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Former Techland staffers reunite to form a data-driven publisher called Untold Stories. It will focus on single-player games with engaging narratives. Okay, that sounds... They will also be a publisher, bringing the Hong Kong Massacre to Nintendo Switch and Beautiful Desolation to PS4 and Switch. And it has signed a third unannounced PC and console title that will be revealed further down the line. These are old cards. Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if these default decks are just all basic cards, which are still playable in rotation. Which theoretically, like 4+ years in, you should not be able to win with basic cards only. Next we have a game on Steam called Mist of the Undead, which is a low effort asset flip zombie shooter survival game. It's free though, English only. Large wall of text being compared to the Killing Floor for probably a bad reason.
I live by the sword.
Gamatsu has Diablo 4 quarterly update, skills and talents sorceress enhancement system and in-game progression system. So there's Blizzard is still working on Diablo 4, but also Blizzard is hemorrhaging talent, so it is questionable,
That's one way to lose a battle.
like,
Hey, let's play.
whether anybody should have any hope whatsoever as far as Diablo 4. I don't think you should. I think you probably shouldn't have had any hope for Diablo 4 just on the basis of how Diablo 3 turned out. It wasn't a terrible game, but it definitely didn't feel like Diablo to me. It felt like a game specifically designed to be played on consoles, and even then it wasn't really played well on consoles, and a game designed to have an online marketplace and microtransactions, and yeah, it felt like it was trying to be something kind of like Destiny eventually became, or at least, well, I haven't played Destiny, but I imagine, yeah, that's what they're trying to do, is make a games as service type game, and I don't think that worked well for Diablo 3, and I don't suspect Diablo 4 would be that interesting either. And at a certain level, I'm not sure that the Diablo series even makes sense anymore, or like there was a bit of a difference in the old days of just how popular a game had to be.
Hey, let's play.
Let's see.
It won't be long
And
now.
and so like Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 and StarCraft and most of the Blizzard games were games that were just immensely replayable. They didn't require super powerful computers, relatively speaking, and they just had that broad appeal, where I just don't know if that is the case for anything that could come out these days. Instead, what you have is games like Fortnite and games like Among Us, which just get these pop-ups of popularity, probably because some YouTubers streamed them and they were fun enough games, but they come and they go. Minecraft has probably been about the only thing that's been consistently successful as a replayable game, and even at that, I don't know how many more new issues of Minecraft are getting sold, new licenses of Minecraft are getting sold.
Loyalty is ironclad.
So this character summons 2 Knots henchmen, which 2 Knots henchmen then have a last word to still summon an ironclad knight, steel-clad knight. So you play this to get that character, to get those characters. It's a crazy mechanic.
Light upon the land. This ends here.
Luminescence, shining hope.
Love me a critter worth their salt.
Moving on, Komatsu has an article. Demon Souls Remake details its digital deluxe edition. Seems like you get a bunch of digital stuff. Generally, I wouldn't talk about digital deluxe editions and pre-order bonuses and all of that, but I imagine Demon Souls, for people who are still obsessed with Demon Souls, particularly Demon Souls and not just the Dark Souls series, I imagine they would be fairly hyped around that. And once again, I think it's worth mentioning that I think I played Dark Souls 1, probably not Demon Souls, and got maybe a quarter of the way through the game, and that was it. A Dragon Ball card game is coming to Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which seems crazy, and it is, I guess, worth mentioning that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is not the Dragon Ball Z game I would recommend people play. I'd still heavily recommend Dragon Ball Fighter Z. This.
You won't escape.
I've totally lost here. I've totally been outclassed by brand new cards compared to playing very old cards. So the default decks as they stand are just useless. Totally useless cards. You can't play with them. You're not gonna win there. I don't feel like that was the case previously, so maybe they'll rebuild the default decks and do something like that. Maybe they're doing a temporary thing where they're intentionally getting rid of any default decks so people have to play with new cards that they've built. But yeah, that was awful. Let's see, home. So if we go to unlimited cards though, we still are perfectly fine. But we're probably just going to suffer miserably and not really be able to win, which is what I was having problems with. TechRaptor has an article here. Terra Invicta Kickstarter unites humanity to fight aliens. Here they're just promoting a Kickstarter game, if that interests you. I suppose it is worth mentioning if you are going to try to get crazy like me with the uBlock Origin plugin, which is also not to be confused with the uBlock Origin, which charges you money and has basically no connection to uBlock Origin at all, and never did, at least according to uBlock Origin. There is a way to tell it to get like paragraph 5 if paragraph 5 is constantly an ad, but in most cases if it selects paragraph 5 and you can kind of tell whether it's searching that way or not because it will have a number in parentheses. If it does that, then you'll go to a different page and then paragraph 5 will be important information that's not an ad, so you have to be fairly careful or it can get very overzealous. And it took me 3 or 4 tries to limit down what I wanted to eliminate versus what I didn't want to eliminate, and I suppose it's worth just for educational purposes to do it. So you would do an item picker and say you didn't want this picture ever to show up. Well, it gives you this long selector at the beginning, and this is actually a different selector because it starts with a bar instead of a hash signal. But what I've found is the best way to do it is you delete to the period that is the rightmost, and then in this case this would be fairly hard. You see how much of the rest of the page that one period would get, and if it gets more than just that one element that you want blocked, then you just hit Control-Z to the next rightmost period, and you just keep on doing that. When you have it where you want, you click the create button. And that's how I found it's best to deal with it. TechRaptor has an article here. The Binding of Isaac Repentance is bigger than a sequel, says the developer. At this point, there's just been a ton of Binding of Isaac games, expansions, and I guess there's just enough popularity out there to justify it. There probably isn't enough of a reason to justify rebuilding it on like a new engine or anything like that. And it's kind of a genius roguelike game design in that all he has to really do is throw in some new enemies with some new attack styles, which eventually I suppose he might run out of ideas for that, but probably not for quite a long time, and new items, and at a certain level I would imagine that Repentance brings in a new gameplay mechanic that, or 2 or 3 that synergize with new items. Something that increases something more than just attack, defense, speed, things like that. But yeah, for the fans of the Binding of Isaac series at this point, which I include myself, although there's been several instances and DLC patches and things that I haven't played, and I don't know if I'd ever really have time to play it again. If somebody gifted me Repentance and I could then like play it on day one and get some views, and I would enjoy that, certainly. But I definitely wouldn't do what I did at the beginning of my channel 5 years ago, where I was played like 90 games of Binding of Isaac, and that was all my content at the time, was just me playing Binding of Isaac. And then eventually I think I played FTL, and then it was a couple years before I started live streaming. And I'm definitely a lot more burned out now than I was then. In all fairness, when I started my YouTube channel also, I had not really played video games for a couple years. I'd kind of fallen out of it. Just didn't feel like I was in the mood to play. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have gotten back into the mood if I didn't find kind of an excuse to talk to people, which is a big part of like my YouTube channel in general, is that it gives me an excuse to kind of rant and pretend like I'm talking to people. And on rare occasions, people actually talk back through the chat, so it's better than just sitting in silence playing video games. But yeah, I could do a mini-series. I could see myself playing like 30 games of Binding of Isaac Repentance, and but I probably would just want to spotlight it. If anything, if it weren't for the fact that Binding of Isaac is controversial in its subject matter, it would be kind of the perfect game to replace the collectible card games that exist that I cover and play. I could see myself easily streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday some Binding of Isaac and talking about the video game news. Other than the fact that in that scenario, I probably couldn't talk about the video game news very much, and I would have to do more research before the fact instead of just ad hoc or as it's happening, as the game is playing, because Binding of Isaac is not really a game that's slow enough to where I could take my focus away from it. I could probably clear out a room and then talk about an article, then clear out a room and talk about an article, but there would definitely be dangers there. I could also get stuck in like really good runs that are 3 or 4 hours in, and then have to figure out whether I want to continue streaming at that point or not. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article here. The Legion of Heroes Trails series has now sold over 5 million units. 3,000 units moved just under 2 months. Of course, this would be the entirety of the Trails series, which I think is at least 3 or 4 games. If we were to look at this image and take it literally, I think there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4 games here. And one of those would be like Trails of Cold Steel. Okay. This. Seriously, I have to like play this one
To the ends of the earth.
so I can then do this. So then I can do this. And I can attack that, but there's kind of no reason to.
I shall give birth to a new world.
Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam that's Asian characters called Silent Space, which looks like a bullet hell shoot 'em up with a comic book series type art style. Yeah, this probably is Chinese, but it might be Korean. English not supported, $16.99 Chinese. Yeah, I bet there's not a lot of gameplay here. Okay. How can we do this? Basically have to do that. And then 3, 6, 9, and then that, and then that.
Hey, let's play.
Well, it seemed like I might have won there.
You're strong.
In playing the Lego Marvel game, they are showing some comic book art covers of like Lego versions of like Spider-Man, Hawkeye, Captain America, things like that, which does open up an interesting idea of the Marvel universe and the DC universe. Frankly, neither one of them have been willing to consistently have kid-friendly comics and or successful at having kid-friendly comics. Take one option or the other, I suppose, as to how you feel it really went down. So why not have Lego potentially be a competitor or a participant with Marvel and DC? Like, Lego directly, if you think about it, has all the resources to do all the printing it needs to do. It prints its own instructions just fine. It has Lego minifigs of many characters, and it has its own IP that it would love to make more popular. So if Lego were going to try to get away from just building block toys and do something else, I feel like direct shipping and digital formats of Lego comic books would make a little bit more sense. And I know there's been a little bit of that, but not a lot of that. And frankly, Marvel and DC would be really wise to do business with them and license all of their products, and perhaps even act as the authors of all of those stories. There is inherently this gap between a 10-year-old, 12-year-old that you would like to get into like Legos and get more into reading, and then a 16 to 18-year-old that I would feel it would be appropriate to read comic books, because there really isn't a lot of young kid-friendly comic books out there. Not that Marvel and DC comics are all terrible or full of well, they're full of violence, but they're not usually full of blood and gore and sex or anything like that. But they are just not something that I think would catch the attention and keep the attention of most 10-year-olds. And it seems fairly obvious that is the case, because Marvel and DC are failing to maintain or grow an audience, and they're failing to keep any audience or fans they have for any long amount of time. That's why you see the constant reboots that happen on DC's part. It's because they have no loyal fans. Moving on, we have a game on Steam here called The Great Adventures of Himiko and Shoujo, which looks like a awful looking, low effort game. Just ugly game. I'm not even going to call it low effort. I'll just say it's ugly. It's $4.99 and it's English only. It's just one of those really weird looking games that you sure do see a lot of those. Play this.
All magic guns can be kind of finicky.
And then
Begin.
see if we can involve
Oh, she's a beaut. You watching?
this.
The void, it beckons me.
And ironically, the next game we have on Steam is called Endless Void, which is just an asset flip first person shooter for $3.99 English and Chinese. Yeah, massive amount of Chinese games today.
Gotta clean up my shop.
So here we have the developer of The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, and he put out a PSA. You will need Rebirth, Afterbirth, and Afterbirth Plus to play Repentance. So it does seem like it is going more in the category of a it's going in the way of yet another expansion, not a new engine. There's a question here, will it come to Mac at a later date? And he responded, it's incredibly unlikely since Apple dropped 32-bit support, which it says his app is. Which, yeah, Mac is kind of dropping all support for anything that's not just designed to also play on a iOS platform, iPad, iPhones. So it's fairly ridiculous at this point to try to make any Mac software. Yeah. So honestly, if I was going to try and get Repentance, I would have to figure out on my Steam account what parts of the game do I have, if any. I think I have some, but not all. And so that there very well might be some extra money that costs there.
I'm gonna make history. Dancing in circles and circles.
Accept harmony.
Let's see if this works.
I've got a brilliant idea.
Nope. Put one random artifact follower that costs 1 or less from your deck into play. I guess I didn't have any in my deck. Okay.
Willing to bet your soul. Better a glorious death than an ignominious life.
The cell phone game Genshin Impact, TechRaptor decided to write a beginner's guide. TechRaptor is writing a lot of these guides, frankly, but they are showing off some images. They're saying it's very Pokemon, it's a gacha game, it's a cell phone game. It looks very nice for a gacha cell phone game, but also it feels like you're going to have to grind a lot. Here you can see there's at least 6 different types of swords and at least 6 different types of magical feathers. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna try to play Genshin Impact, but also we kind of know that nothing is going on in the video game world these days because TechRaptor is going in this direction, just
Small things in life.
desperate to have content on their website to put ads by. Someone was talking about how ads are the only way the internet works and remains free, and I'm like, you know what? I'd be okay if the internet failed, if that's the case. And that's kind of an insane thing to say, but there are people out there that made the internet originally to be this free. Information should be free, sharing of information between colleges in the ARPANET, and yes, the government also got involved in it and needed data redundancy in case a single location got nuked. But the monetization of the internet, and I remember the old days when the statement was clearly and obviously that you couldn't make money on the internet, was really the good old days, and I wouldn't be upset if we went back to that and we were no longer in a scenario where every single website is just loaded to bear with awful ads over and over again, and every single service is really about getting a profile on the user so you can manipulate them into buying more things. Sure, maybe a sites like YouTube would just immediately shut down if ads could not be a thing, but I think in the long run, even at that, even potentially having my entire channel deleted, I think society would be better if advertisements in general were just not viable or not allowed completely. That would be a paradise I'd be willing to sacrifice for, frankly. So yeah, I'd be happy if everybody in the world uses an ad blocker, and everybody in the world doesn't see any ads ever, and the internet changes drastically because of that. And I would be happy with a potential offering of a different kind of world where perhaps there is just some level of taxes that happen, and those taxes fund by grants people who do artistic things or informative things, and those artistic informative things end up on the internet in the same way that artistic informative things ended up on PBS on the public airways. And I would love to hear the internet become a utility that everyone it deserves, because frankly everyone needs it. But yeah, just because it is the way things are now doesn't inherently mean it's the way things should be, or it's even the best way. And very often people make that argument flippantly without really thinking things through. Anyways, moving on, because that's more of a rant and opinion piece than anything. Apple and Epic's big antitrust showdown will likely take place next summer, according to Gamma Sutra. So, point that out. Gamma Sutra also has a job listing here for a senior engine programmer at Volition, which is in Champaign, Illinois. I can't actually block this because there's kind of nothing here. From what uBlock Origin tells me, it just seems that they've set their page in such a way that there's just always going to be a little bit of like carriage returns here. Just somebody hit enter basically, and yeah, I haven't been able to find a way to block it. Although maybe that would work.
Dancing in circles and circles.
Suppose it is also worth mentioning that that my volume mouse, a program, a little freeware program, talking about the internet being free again, called Vol Mouse. I installed it on my new computer and it somehow got a default setting that was not what I wanted, where you would hold down the left mouse button and then drag up and down to turn the volume up and down for the entire system, which that is not the setting I want. I want a little alt. When I hold down the alt button and then move the mouse wheel up and down, it turns the volume up and down for whatever application is in focus. That way I can on the fly adjust audio, which is very nice, instead of having to minimize a window and then go figure out the right settings and bring the window back up to the foreground.
What's for Den Den?
Let's play.
At least now we have a bit of an excuse, and so I have to at least applaud that. I have an excuse for not winning. It's not a great excuse, certainly, because at the core of it, I just need to rebuild my decks, and I needed to do that a while ago. But yeah, I've been struggling for probably 4 or 5 days now, trying to get one more victory to get those 3 daily quests done, which means I've been missing potentially 3 or 4 days of daily quests, and I'm just not playing this game when I'm not streaming, so I'm definitely missing some daily quests for sure. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article here. The Xbox Hall of Fame has big prizes for dedicated gamers. Chance to win your very own Xbox Series X console. A gamer score legend, which would earn the highest total gamer score for November 2013 through October 19th, 2020. That's definitely not going to be achievement conqueror. Earn the most achievements. Yeah, that's really going to be like 1 or 2 people, and that's it. That's not going to end up with a lot of victories. There's also, let's see, several tiers of that, so I guess they're trying to be a little bit more generous there. There's a Forza Hall of Fame circuit, have the fastest lap time, and the Hall of Fame circuit for Forza Horizon 4. There is a Sea of Thieves Legendary Captain, earn the most emissary value, State of Decay 2 Zombie Slayer, destroy all plague hearts as quickly as you can, and then new standard zone map. So yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible winners here. None of them are going to beat you, more than likely. Each one of those are going to win an Xbox Series X, a Hall of Fame trophy, limited edition Hall of Fame hoodie, and 12 months of Game Packs Ultimate. You pretty much can probably find the names of each of those people right now. There will be no change from now to the end of this contest.
It won't be long now.
What they probably should have done is just set a minimum limit, have a gamer score over 100,000 or something, which is not a unreasonable limit, and then pick random people from that. They probably should have given away awards to more than 8 people, frankly, too. And they needed to have like really small rewards, digital rewards, just in-store credits, avatar hoodies. The Xbox Series X hasn't talked about the avatars at all, so we don't know actually if there is an avatar system for the Xbox Series X, but I imagine there is. Although maybe they are just going to abandon it. It's not like anybody really uses it. Alright.
There you are, my little trespasser.
Let's see, that brings me to the Humble Bundle store, which has a bundle here called One Special Day. You could get Smoke and Sacrifice, Idle Champions, Insurgent Simulator Anniversary Edition. That's not too bad for $1. Talisman, and then if you pay $10 you can get Dirt Rally 2.0, Portal Knights, and Ogre. Not a good deal past the $1, but Smoke and Sacrifice, Insurgent Simulator Anniversary Edition, and Idle Champions Starter Pack. Probably not a bad offering there. See if there's any other bundles worth talking about. Nope, no other bundles worth talking about. Then guess that would mean either I need to go through my wish list. We're gonna actually do some wish list cleanup, which we might do that, or we'll go through my Twitter account and look for new news. Seems like we're having some network trouble. Let's see. A Switch North America remakes will be coming for the Atelier Ryza series, according to Koei Tecmo.
Hey, let's play. Yeah.
Might be able to win here. Apparently, Steam's next digital game festival will aim at a single genre, digital tabletop games, which that is an interesting idea. Maybe Steam will just start focusing on specific games, game types. Cook Serve Delicious 3 launches October 14th for Xbox One, Switch, PC, and PS4. Shortly after, PS4 comes shortly after all the other ones. I'm just gonna mention that. That's a Komatsu article. Let's see. What do we want to do? Ward? Do that.
May the forest be at peace.
And then we can do that. We can do that, that, and that. And then the turn. Let's see. Tegraptor has an article here. Spider-Man Remastered recast Peter Parker's face model, which, okay, that definitely looks like that might be a different face model.
I'm gonna rest for a bit.
Was Peter Parker's face model in line with the actors from the Spider-Man movies at the moment? I don't think it was.
The real
So they just got somebody different because I imagine they wanted to remaster and scan the face again at a higher resolution, but even that seems like a ridiculous waste of resources. I don't know. Do you have to pay for the appearance of someone's face a second time in a remastered version? There is a good argument that the reason they aren't giving you a free upgrade to Spider-Man Remastered is because it is a licensed product and they're having some contract, they're contractually obliged to charge for and a remastered version, and that kind of makes sense. Yep. I wonder if it really is just a ploy to get people to not talk about the fact that you basically can't get the remastered version on the PlayStation 5 for Spider-Man unless you own the Ultimate version or buy the Ultimate version on the PS4 or PS5. That there really isn't an upgrade path, or an easy way to upgrade. Right.
The stars pale beside me.
Do that. And then just keep on playing cards, I guess.
Stop! No! She's not letting go!
Cloud saves apparently are going to come over to the Xbox Series X. I imagine there's really no reason why that shouldn't be the case, but they did come out and say it. A game called Brigadine: The Legend of Runesaria for the PS4 has some limited print physical editions pre-orders opening October 9th. Gamma Sutra has that article I mentioned. CD Projekt Red backtracks on anti-crunch commitments ahead of the Cyberpunk launch.
Hope is out there. I know it. Head toward hope.
What website is this would take it to? Oh, the PlayStation Store has a big in Japan sale at the moment to coincide with the Tokyo Game Show, I imagine. Although that's not really much of an offer. Alright, well, we can do this.
The stars pale beside me. Keep working toward a brighter future.
And then
So vile,
this.
No! Help me, fairy.
This.
Stop! She's not letting up!
And that.
Stop!
Fighting is so sorrowful.
Renegade making tabletop games for G.I. Joe, Transformers, and My Little Pony, all of which are Hasbro licenses. And those are tabletop games, so I don't really care about them. Are they going to actually concede?
I have lost.
Finally! Stadia Pro members get 29 games. We'll talk about that.
I did it! I won!
Yeah, we have not been seeing any kind of battle pass up until this point. This is the first time we've ever had a battle pass. That has to be the case. Let's see, at this point, I want to play anything, and I mean just anything different than Forestcraft, but I don't know what would actually win. There is something weird
Okay, no more crying.
that I run into where I kind of hit a dead end at the bottom of my Twitter feed. But it does that even when you block Origin is off, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's a different ad blocker that might be blocking it. So. Well, I don't know what that would be. I think YouTube, I think Twitter just kind of runs out of things to show you, frankly, after a fairly small amount. The Epic Online service is investigating issues with installing and patching games on the Epic Games Launcher. Some players are experiencing delays for notifications associated with password resets and multi-factor authentication. Also, that's 2 different posts. Anyways, here we have Gamma Sutra's article. Let's see. Now, it's not apparently going to be the same as the Steam Game Festival. The Digital Tabletop Fest will focus on Let's Play, developers, live streams, and live panels centered around video games that overlap with tabletop games in some way. So it does very much feel like Valve is trying to be, in a weird way, a very unique niche YouTube / Twitch, instead of actually just having sales and driving sales that way. They're trying to be almost almost like a IGN, like video game review site or news site, but then inherently they will have this inability to say anything negative ever. So I don't know how they would particularly have any credibility. Really? Yeah, that's gonna completely fall apart as an idea. Okay.
So this is my end.
Okay. So I stopped on Rise Son of Rome when I was going through my wish list, looking at games that needed to be potentially removed from the wish list. Which that means if I scroll down this way, element OP, QRS, it was the end of R that we needed to go through. This was a long time ago too, so I wouldn't blame you if you didn't know what I'm talking about. Is this an officer? No. This is.
Don't call me short.
Let's see if we can evolve this.
You are done for.
And do this.
I demand a rematch.
As my
And then
guitar
that.
gently beats.
Right. Now I'm at the R's. And RetroArch is still, I guess it is available to play now. I'll have to
I can't sing another note.
install that. Return of Obra Dinn, still haven't played that. The Zork series, Return to Zork, a series that I should think about more. Right.
Raise your blade.
This
It won't be long now.
ball here.
I shall overcome all by the Knight's Code.
Just trying to get everything visually set up to go through this. Yeah, alright. So here we are at the wish list. We have Rise Son of Rome, and then we have the Stalker series, which I still think would be interesting. Here we have
Mighty
a
bow.
visual novel called Sabbath of the Witch. Here we have a Saint Seiya game. I think that still makes sense. Saints Rose game still makes sense. Sakura Dungeon, does that still make sense? Probably not. Let's think about getting rid of that. Sakura Santa, does that still make sense? Probably not. Here we have one called Salambo Battle for Carthage. I want to double check what that is. Salaryman Escape. Might not have enough relevancy for $10. Salt and Sanctuary. Samurist. Samurai Jack Battle Through Time. Samurai Warriors 4 through 11. Samurai Warriors The Spirit Sonata. Let's come over here. Do this.
A bit of grace and polish for you.
Then evolve
All
here.
ends here.
I hope you're prepared stunningly. Rah!
Attack. Let's see. Here we have a game called Sandmaid, which looks like a puzzle game. I should double check that. Sanitarium. See, the real thing here is,
Darling,
see if I want to play that. A lot of these games
Style will not tolerate
are
evil.
not gonna be rated terribly. It's just gonna be a matter of, do I feel like I actually would possibly play these games, and I should probably be fairly generous. Now this one's reviewed mixed, which tells me maybe not. And then
What a sham!
this Scamp Hi-Hat Havoc, like Scar of a Doll. Let's see, this is probably a Chinese game that's not really worth mentioning. Scribblenauts, probably still relevant. A lot of these are lesser, not really relevant games at all, never were.
Adding flames to the fire.
But they did benefit. Here we have Secret of Mana, which is still mixed, so I don't
such
think
a lovely couple.
that Secret of Ryton. I don't think so there. Here we have Security Hall, a game called Seed of the Dead, which is probably an adult game. It's very positive. I should probably get rid of a lot of these adult games. I can't ever really cover them. Sega Bass Fishing is a hard argument. Secure Shadows Die Twice is obviously good. Senran Kagura games, I still would like to play them all if they are cheap. I kind of wonder if Bon Appetit as a cooking Senran Kagura Ninja Girls game might be an interesting comparison to Battleship Brigade.
Swordplay is fun. Observe.
There we go. So we got, yeah, several Senran Kagura games, just the entire collection. Again, those are more games that I would perhaps want to see gifted to me, not actually something I'd pay for myself, because then I'd feel like I need to play it, where I just want to support the developer. I don't think this Senran Banka game is a Senran Kagura series, but it is overwhelmingly positive. Let's see. Serious Sam's Bogus Detour. There might be an argument to not owning so many of the Serious Sam things. This Schoolgirls and Zombie Hunter game was a spin-off of, I think, the Onichanba series, but honestly, that's not a good enough reason. Shadowblade. Shadow Complex I don't have on this account, but I really wouldn't want to pay $15 for it for a second time to own it. Oh, This would have Rush. This would summon a Knight. This would let me destroy one of those.
Take my blade of resentment.
You're wide open. To arms, brother. At your service.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition apparently is not available directly from purchase. I wonder why that is the case. I probably should make a high priority to get the next Tomb Raider game that I haven't played, which is either Shadow of the Tomb Raider or Rise of the Tomb Raider.
So this is my end.
See, Shadow Warrior Classic, Shadow Warrior 2, Shadow Gate, Shadow Hand. This game I wanted to play, but at $14.99 it's fairly expensive and it's not really relevant. It never was. Shadow Run. Obviously I was considering Shadow Run Dragonfall in Hong Kong. Shawdan. Probably want to make a high priority of Shantae and the Seven Sirens since I was playing the Shantae series and need to get back to playing that, I imagine. I think I still have one more game to play. Strike.
Ooh, a digestif.
Okay.
You're
So we
full
can
of
kill
fun
that.
things.
Good luck.
And that means I lost. I should have killed that
No one gets past
and
me.
that.
Good luck.
See.
Tie 'em up.
Shaolin versus Wu-Tang, probably not a game really needed that needs to be played. Let's see. Shelter 2, sorta relevant. Sheltered Stasis, probably not so relevant. Shinmei 1 and 2, probably not worth playing. Shinzo IO, I would like to play. Shinzo Solitaire, not so much. We can take that off. Since you get Shinzen Solitaire for free when you buy Shinzen IO. Sherlock Holmes, several games there. Here we have one that's 90 off. Frankly, I'll just buy that right now. And 90% off for that game, which has been very difficult to get on sale. Here we have a anime shoot 'em up called Shiken Hondo. Shines the Lightning King, Shining Resonance, Shiny Shio. Probably should just double check what these Japanese games are since I don't remember them. And I'll do all of that off screen. Shy Chess, Shuen Saga. S games are gonna be a long list here. Sid Meier's. Should I play Sid Meier's games just because he put his name on it? Because, like, Sid Meier's Pirates probably worth playing. Sid Meier's Starships, seemingly not worth playing, and it came out in 2015. Sid Meier's Ace Patrol Pacific Skies, Sid Meier's Civilization. I think Civilization is probably the only real game here worth playing, and then the rest of these are just trying to sell by on the Sid Meier's name. So yeah, I think I should probably consider get rid of everything Sid Meier's except for Civilization, and then even that, like, isn't called Sid Meier's anymore. Here we have a game called Sightbringer that's mixed. So these reviews usually don't change, but sometimes I overrule reviews. Here we have one called Silent Footsteps, which we can get rid of that. That doesn't have any reviews at all. SimCity 4 Deluxe Edition from 2010. Is there a legitimate reason to buy this and show it off? I don't think so. Because I wouldn't like those games anyways. Sin Gold, there's a question now because I think Sin is getting a remake. So there might be some reason for that. Singularity was a game I wanted to cover. Sir, You're Being Hunted was popular and talked about for a brief second. Skater Cali had no relevance for $7. And let's see, Ski Sniper for, let's see if that's really something worth playing. Skull and Bones, Skullgirls had that like controversy, so it might be smart to buy that right now in case it just leaves sale, although that's a really stupid reason to buy a game. Slap City I think is a Smash Bros. Clone, not really worth playing. Slay the Spire, I wanted to play that, but yet another game that just never goes on sale. Slender the Arrival, probably never going to be relevant. Slime Rancher, definitely wanted to play that. Slipstream, is there a reason to play something that's just a remake of an old game is the question on that. Slow Down Bull, there was a reason to buy that, but I can't remember what it was. And I don't know if it's really a good reason. Smashing the Battle we'll look at. Snail Track, is there a good reason to play Snail Track games? Because at the end of the day I'd be buying nearly 5 Star Trek parody point and click adventures or text-based adventures. I don't think so. I think I should increase my standards a little bit and get rid of Snail Track. Snaky Bus, that's questionable also if it's relevant. Sniper Elite 1, 3, 4, and version 2 remastered. Which version 2 remastered is not well received, but I think it's the only way you can get Sniper Elite 2. Or maybe it's Sniper Elite 1 version 2 and Sniper Elite 2 is not available. SNK Tag Team Frenzy, SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy is again one game that's just like way too expensive to actually ever justify buying. Snowball is a game where it looks like you're playing pinball. Haven't played pinball in a while. Soda Girls, that was a beat 'em up game that may not be relevant anymore. Silkabond looks like a single screen Unity game. Well, let's look at this. We have a game called Solace and the White Winter that's mixed. We have a Solitude Escape of the Head, which is not reviewed. So if it doesn't have enough reviews, then it's not really relevant. Let's see what the Solstice is. Also, we have a game called Son of Nor that's mixed. And there's a decent chance I'll go back and look at all these games and remember the reason why I had them on the wish list and keep them on the wish list, but there is also a decent chance that I will not. The Sonic games are a good argument. Sonic does have some relevancy, but do I really need to buy Sonic Forces or do I just buy Sonic Mania? Sonic Forces here is mixed reviewed and it's selling itself for $40, where Sonic Mania is $20 and it was the fan game. I think Sonic Forces can just leave. Sonic Com looks like a visual novel. Sophia's Curse. I need to rethink anything that looks like it's just a horror game. Sorcery Part 3, Sorcery Part 4, Sorcery Part 1 and 2. Those are fairly expensive games. I'm not sure I really want to play them. Yeah, sorry, James. Maybe. I'll leave that one. See, the problem here is if I was... This one says it's an MMO, so I'll probably remove that. Soul Worker anime action MMO. The problem with just removing all the visual novel games is that I would just be removing them for almost censorship reasons myself. It'd just be like, oh yeah, well YouTube's not gonna let me play them and they're all so expensive, so yeah, let's just not even ever consider playing them, even though some of them actually do catch my eye. On the other hand, there is a great argument to say, really, I only would want to play 5 or 6 visual novels because I don't actually enjoy the aspect of reading visual novels. I also don't really enjoy the aspect of grinding, so playing South Park The Stick of Truth or South Park The Fractured Butthole are probably not great offerings. Space Invaders Extreme, I'd want that, but again we have this price tag that's a problem. Major price tag. Spartan Fist is mixed. Speed Brawl is another game I should consider getting rid of. Speed Dating for Ghosts looks like it might be a little too weird, and I've got plenty of weird games already that I've covered. Let's see. SpongeBob SquarePants, I think that will be fairly relevant. Spyro Reignited. Star Control 1 and 2 had this whole controversy around it, and then Star Control 3 is not well received. Actually, I don't think I actually want to play either one of these games. And then we have Star Ocean Last Hope, which is mixed reviewed. Star Trek Online is probably not anything that's relevant anymore. Star Trek Timelines is mixed. Let's just get rid of all these Star Trek games. Stick to Star Trek the 25th Anniversary game and Star Trek Bridge Crew and any other Star Trek games that are well received. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, another game that makes sense. Battlefront at the reboot, whereas versus Battlefront the classic game. Battlefront 2, Episode 1 Star Racer. That would be the entirety of, I think, all the Star Wars games that I can buy that I haven't bought. And of course I've been trying to cover products that might have some popularity, but frankly there's not been much success there. Stasis is a game I'd definitely like to play. $10 maybe a little too expensive there. Station Flow was a little bit of a weird game, but I'll leave it because I remember it. It's like a person. Steins Gate is a visual novel that definitely falls in the category of one that should be played. So if I played each of these Steins Gates game, you're talking 4 visual novels. Steven's Sausage Roll. This guy is always charging just way too expensive. Like $30 for a puzzle game is ridiculous. Steven's Universe. Is it relevant anymore? I don't think it is. Plus, I don't think there's much there that I actually want to play anyways. So some of these kids games certainly would make sense to get rid of them. Stonewall Penitentiary is like a horror point and click escape game. I'll have to think about getting rid of that. Stories Untold. Strange Brigade. Yeah, I wanted to investigate that to see if you could play that in single player. Let's go home over here so it stops playing the same music over and over again. Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. For mixed reviews, we can get rid of that. Street Fighter 5 for mixed reviews, we can get rid of that. Street Fighter X Tekken for mixed reviews, we can get rid of that. And if there's any Street Fighter game I'm gonna play modern wise, I guess it would be Street Fighter 4. Streets of Rage 4. Also, I should consider whether I want to play that, as I've recently just kind of spotlighted looking at Streets of Rage 1 and 2, so I don't think 4 probably catches my attention enough. Here we have a game Stygian Reigns of the Old Ones that's mixed. Styx Shards of Darkness. I didn't particularly love Styx 1, so it'd be a hard sell on that. Subnautica. I feel like I own something Subnautica. I need to investigate that, because I may own like an expansion version of Subnautica already. Let's see, Sudoku Jigsaw here for $1.99, Sudoku Killer for $1.99, Sudoku Universe, Sudoku Senkai. I definitely should decide on one of those if I ever buy even that one. Here we have Suicide Guy. It'd be kind of hard to play these games now. Just putting that word on YouTube might very well get me delisted. Sunset Overdrive. Does it have any relevance now, or is it an online only game that's dead? This Super Dangerous Dungeons, I think I might want to get rid of, and I want to check what Super Cloud Belt is. Super Dale Deluxe looks kind of like a weird game. Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission was rated very positively, but I need to figure out whether I want that or not. Super Inefficient Golf, Super Kinky. I think we can probably let go of Super Kinky. Super Lucky's Tale, Super Mega Baseball 2, Super Mega Baseball Extra Inning, Super Neptunia RPG. I guess that's the one Neptunia game I don't have. Although Neptunia's developers seem to constantly relist Neptunia games over and over again and remake them. Super Hot? Wow, I'm surprised I don't own that. Here we have a fairly expensive couple of visual novel games. Superland. At a certain point, my wish list is just going to boil down to a list of a bunch of visual novels I never actually decided to buy. Supreme League of Patriots. Well, in this election year, I don't know if I could ever play that game, frankly. One way or the other, yeah, you're looking at probably another 4 years in which this would not actually be doable. So, like, the world has just gotten so politicized that playing a game that's even slightly political probably would be a problem. We have a game called Surge, which looks like it might be a student project. Suzy Cube. Sweet Fantasy is a like furry type visual novel with nudity. Sweet Pool is a yaoi story visual novel by the looks of it, guy on guy. Swim Out is Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment worth playing now, or Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet worth playing now, like, or Hollow Realization. I need to decide, frankly, are any of these Sword Art Online games really relevant enough to justify, like, they're on sale right now too, so you're talking about $20 for 4 Sword Art Online RPG games. That's actually not a bad deal, but there is a question of relevancy there, because Sword Art Online is not great. Siberia is good, but Siberia 3 is mixed, but Siberia 2 is very positive, so there's some weirdness there. Here we have a game called Symphony that probably isn't my style. And then that leaves us with System Crash. So, yeah, that's not a bad letter cleanup. And then we just have the letters T through Z, which T will be a very long list, certainly. That maybe on Friday I'll be able to do that, and ideally we'll have a full wish list cleanup completed. I have to say I am not happy with this battle pass concept though. Like I'm just not happy at all. We have these battle pass missions. Is there something in the battle pass missions that would possibly unlock the battle pass for us? I don't think so. That's irritating. And we have no new achievements, I'm sure. Like, I imagine the achievements are never gonna change. And then in an hour and 30 minutes we'll get another daily quest, and maybe at that point I'd really play some more. I kind of feel like I should go back to solo player missions because they were easier. And then, yeah, there's really nothing we can do. Yep, nothing we can do. I need to do deck rebuilds, and I need to find time to do deck rebuilds. And yeah, it's not been anybody that's chatted in 41 days on this guild, so I wonder if I could just leave the guild. Yep, let's just leave the guild. Okay. Just for the heck of it. Well, that's gonna be it for this stream. Very laid back. Very, very laid back today. As always, if I can get it to work. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can support me by friending me on Steam and getting me a gift card or a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.